Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video with the WWE Elite Collection Series 35 Earthquake. Yeah, this ain't no ordinary action figure review. This, my friends, is Action Figure Evolution, where we trace the changing faces of toys by taking a look at the various incarnations of one particular character, or in this case, wrestler. And where else to start but the very beginning with Hasbro's WWF, yep, before they got the F out, Earthquake from 1992. Earthquake being included in the third series of this line, which began in 1990, interestingly made by Hasbro, who are the biggest rival of Mattel, who make WWE figures today. And if you're a young collector into Mattel's current offerings, would you be collecting them if they still look like this? And I say that as the passage of time and its changes are never more apparent than looking at a relic like this. If you weren't a kid back then playing with these and are thus not looking at them through the warm and fuzzy lens of nostalgia, then yeah, it looks a bit crap. But in some ways, its look is a very apt reflection of the WWF as it was 15 years ago. Pretty much a colourful cartoon for kids. But if you don't like the look, maybe the action feature will win you over. Hasbro call it Aftershock. It's less aftershock and more lazy afternoon. Now we fast forward to WWE Classic Superstars Series 6 Earthquake from 2005 by Jakks Pacific. Classic Superstars being a line that 13 years after the first Earthquake by Hasbro was now plumbing the nostalgia of adult collectors that may have played with that Hasbro version as a kid. I know, as that was my story, with Classic Superstars Series 6 being the series that got me into collecting wrestling figures as an adult. I'd seen the prior series around and they'd piqued my interest and plucked at the heartstrings with names and faces I remembered watching wrestle as a kid, but initially they seemed a bit half-assed. For instance, Series 1 Andre being an Andre head on a Big Show body, yet with Series 6 Jakks seemed fully committed with strong selections, and Andre done justice, Hawk and Animal, Doink the Clown, Bobby the Brain Heenan, the Birdman Coco Beware. Yeah, I admit at the time I slept on this Earthquake from that series. From Classic Superstars I was looking for the most definitive version of each wrestler, rendered just how I picture them in my head. And for me, Earthquake's most iconic appearance is with the blue costume seen on the Hasbro version, which he wore at his career peak in his feud with Hulk Hogan. While the singlet of the Series 6 Earthquake is the one he wore as part of the Natural Disasters tag team, and I figured the line would never run so deep to include his partner, well, I was wrong, as in 2008 I had to backtrack and pick up the Series 6 Earthquake, as Classic Superstars Series 17 included Earthquake's Natural Disasters tag team partner, Typhoon, which remains one of the more collectible Classic Superstars to this day. In 2008, Series 22 of Classic Superstars saw the release of another Earthquake in the form of the one I originally wanted with Series 6. Sadly, between the release of the 2005 one and this one in 2006, the Earthquake himself, John Tenta, passed away. First impressions, and you'd think they are the exact same figure except for different singlets, and for the most part you'd be right, but on closer inspection there is some difference in the details, with the Series 6 one rendering Earthquake's chest hair, yet the Series 22 one is without it. And Earthquake certainly doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to go to the beauty shop for a chest waxing. The lack of that detail on the Series 22 one does deny Earthquake some of the burliness that was part of his character, but a detail it does capture is his tattoo. As we look at the picture of the man himself from the packaging of the new Mattel one, it's clearly a tiger's face, which we see on the 22 Series one, yet for some reason on the Series 6 one it just seems to be a generic squiggle. I mean, they even managed to capture it with the Hasbro one back in 1992, so I'm not sure what's up with that. Not to mention, it seems Jakks fell asleep on the watch during Series 6 and never painted his wrist tape, but Series 22 though, they woke up and broke out the white paint for him. Let's now bring us more up to date with 2015's WWE Elite Collection Series 35 Earthquake. And within our history here, a third toy company steps into the mix with Mattel, who took over the license to make WWE action figures from Jakks Pacific in 2009. Sadly, Mattel hasn't quite struck the same level of success when it comes to tapping into nostalgia. Their equivalent of Jakks Classic Superstars, Mattel's WWE Legends stalled at just Series 6, with Jax stacking up a whopping 28 series of classic superstars. I'm not sure why that is, maybe Jax milked the market dry? But although Mattel did cancel its Legends line, at least they folded Legends into their Elite Collection as flashback figures alongside the WWE superstars of today. Of course, that does mean less Legends than if they had a devoted series of their own, but some is better than none, right? And as a flashback is how this newest Earthquake arrives. Having collected Jax classic superstars for a number of years, it did take me a while to warm to Mattel. I guess in collecting it's easy to become a creature of habit and be slow to adapt to change, but now 5 years into Mattel's reign and in hindsight, I feel a bit foolish for not taking to Mattel's efforts more quickly, as in more cases than not, Mattel's versions are superior to their Jax counterparts. And that's the story as I see it here. In comparison, Mattel's has more realistic proportions. Perhaps it might benefit from a more rotund stomach, but beyond that, of the two, I get a much better sense from Mattel's of a living, breathing person. Taking a closer look at the packaging to compare likenesses, and I think Mattel's is best here also. While not a dead ringer, the expression at least does capture the mean spirit of the Earthquake. Let's now compare articulation, and from Mattel's Elite I think we'll get a true sense of action figure evolution. So the heads of each rotate, yet neither really move forward or back. At the shoulders, the arms rotate and move up this much. Both have upper arm rotation and single jointed elbows, then rotation at the wrist and hinged hands moving down and up. Here is where the Elite articulation kicks in, as Jax doesn't have an ab crunch, whereas Mattel's does, moving this far forward and this far back. Both have waist rotation. At the hips, the legs of Mattel's move out to the side, whereas Jax are just hinged to move forward, as Mattel's does, and neither really move back. Mattel's has upper leg rotation, whereas Jax does not. Mattel's has a double jointed knee, whereas Jax is just single jointed. Mattel's rotates at the top of the boot, whereas Jax does not. Then both have an ankle hinge, albeit the hinge on Mattel's, like many of their Elites, are frozen. Grrr. But it does have a slight ankle pivot. Then as a bonus, Mattel's Earthquake comes with a bag and Damien, yep, Jake's Snake. So if you've picked up a Jake the Snake Roberts loose without accessories on, say, eBay or a yard sale or at a flea market, then buying Earthquake could also be a great opportunity to reunite Jake with his snake. And if you're thinking, hang on, Damien, that's an odd accessory for Earthquake to come with, but infamously Damien met his maker at the hands of Earthquake, well, less his hands and more his fat ass cheeks, as Damien was the recipient of the Earthquake Splash. Rest in peace, Damien. A week later, Earthquake donned a chef's hat to barbecue some Quake burgers. What's in a Quake burger, you ask? Well, Quake rhymes with snake. Oh, wrestling. So here they are all lined up. If you have or had any of these, feel free to reminisce in the comments below. For an action figure evolution featuring Andre the Giant, click the video on the right. I'd love it if you could give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.